going on, everybody? How you doing? Good morning, morning. How you doing? It is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, 414 in the big 2-6. It's a very silent Hillian morning out here in mid-Michigan. Hopefully you're having a good start to your Tuesday morning. We know that the clock goes tick-tock. We're getting closer and closer to the draft. So, guys, we're going to just kind of quickly fly through everything today. We're going to look at Gennaro Felice. He's got his mock draft. We're going to run through that real quickly, showing us a couple trades in the first round that could really cause some shenanigans, tomfoolery. Then we're going to look at the Detroit Lions. Lions urged to make 17th pick trade, and we explain why. That kind of couples in with, you're looking at the money. It's don't mess with the money man, and the money man might actually be, we obviously know Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get paid, paid. But you got to look at the dollar reduce and how to manipulate the market to your will. Action Jack Campbell staring down the barrel of being possibly the highest paid linebacker in football. How can the Lions attack that particular contract to give them a little bit more wiggle room in the future moving forward? And then, since there's not a lot to talk about, guys, I do have a video pulled up from my guy Flemlo Raps over here. How bad is the Ruben Bain situation? Something that could cause a little bit of chicanery. Obviously, there's always one player in the draft who has to go and, really gamble with their future, making piss poor decisions as young individuals, and then, of course, never really held accountable. But oh, how the light finds the shadows in the corners of the closets we're all trying to keep the dead bodies and skeletons in, allegedly, or whatever, what have you, all that nonsense. What's going on? Brandy says 9 days and 9 hours, 56 minutes until the draft. That's exactly right. That's why we are locked and loaded and getting after it. Going to get morning, Derek, dude. We're going to get going after it here, guys. We're going to kick it over to Jocko and then get into the show. Make sure that you've liked the video, share this video around, subscribe to the channel, and of course ring that notification bell. We are trying to get up to 50 subscribers over on Rumble before the draft time, so 9 days to get 5. 9 days to try and get 5 more subscribers, and of course we are trying to climb to that ever elusive 900, and then of course the barrier of 1,000 subscribers over on YouTube. So go ahead and share this around and do all the things and stuff. We're going to kick it over to Jocko and get into the show.
If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well, then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
I got to give the Mad Hatter Nation over on YouTube. Shout out you guys that got a little foreskin in the game. You got to be subscribed to play around with these cats over in the chat over on YouTube. Shout out Tampa, Lions fan. I'm going to go ahead and pin that comment right there, bud, because you and me, my guy, I completely agree with you on that. He says, or she, I'm sorry. But Tampa Lions fan says, I'm convinced Brad is trolling the fan base, honestly. Yep, me too. The body language, dude, the body language of Brad Holmes in that press conference that we briefly tapped into the live stream yesterday. Hands in pockets, sweats, annoyed with the questions. Brad Holmes, guys, I'm I hate that, like, I have to do these Nostradamian, super vague predictions, but it's like, be prepared for this to happen, be prepared for that to happen, or be prepared for Brad Holmes to do some off-the-wall shit. Because if we know him, it's Brad Out of Pocket Holmes is about to be his new nickname. Weekenbeck, hell yeah. Brent, how you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Hopefully you're having a good morning, dude. I think the Lions are going to be making a play for Styles or Reese. Damn, Raw. Okay, all right. Hey, man. You know, dude, I'm not against it. I got to be honest, though, guys. The more we have talked about Sonny Styles, the more I feel that we could probably find players that does what he does later on in the draft. Okay. And we will talk about a scenario lined up for us here. Yahoo has pulled up for us here. But I do really think that the key, and this is kind of the world that I always live in, the key for the Lions, we have got to figure out a way, okay, to get out of 17. We got to get back into the mid-20s, and we absolutely need to pick up a third-round pick, okay? The third round, guys, the third round, and fucking Brad Holmes always wheeling and dealing them third-round picks. Yep, here's where it comes around to bite us in the butthole, dude. This draft is the third. And maybe it's because we have been doing so many mocks where I haven't had the third round. I feel that yesterday really showcased how in the third round it gives us so much flexibility that it's almost a luxury at that point. You know what I'm saying? It gives you a lot more flexibility in the caliber of player that was. Look at how we did yesterday. We traded back to 23, right? We were able to grab Proctor in the first round, and then we ran it back with Jacob Rodriguez, luckily, at 50 in the second round. And then at that third round pick, AJ Hulky. Okay, so what we were able to do with that AJ Hulky is void out the want for Sonny Styles, because he comes and crashes down in that Nichols kind of big enforcer safety type that at least I'm fascinated with, that Sonny Styles theoretically could play in my mind. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, you guys have really sold me on... I love the fourth round pick project of Eric Gentry. I'm really on board with that. I am really on board with that player profile build, right? I like that idea a lot. You know what I'm saying? You agree, Derek? I appreciate that, dude. That's what I'm talking about, bro. I appreciate that, dude. I really think that third round, but maybe it's just because I've been very, blinders. We've been doing the 1, 2, 4, 4, 5. You know what I mean? Instead of seeing what's in the third. I thought that yesterday, that third round, that AJ Hulky grab out of LSU, just like I felt was such an absolute solidification for a rock star class, because we addressed need, we addressed a position of flexibility with Jacob Rodriguez in that replaces the Alex Anal zone. On top of that, it pushes Derek Barnes. If he has a bad year, again, we have an easy money out next year, right? Jacob Rodriguez hypothetically then ascends to that role. With the injury. Guys, this is no slight against Brian Branch. I am operating as though Brian Branch will not be available for this entire season. It makes it look, if he's back, great. We make that adjustment. Let's cross that bridge when we get there. Let's just operate, at least for thought exercises, that he's not going to be back. Don't put pressure on him. Don't put pressure on other players. You can then stabilize and know what you have, a clear vision moving forward. Grabbing a guy like Hulky adds into that rotation, adds a little bit more bulk, old school safety play. You know what I'm saying? Might not make it to the top 50 though. Not likely a third rounder. And Brent, that's kind of that doesn't that kind of feel like what always happens is I really feel, I know I'm sounding like a liberal by talking about my feelings, but the first round gets so mocked so many times that you have a clear as mud image, as to what's going to happen. It's when you start getting into the second and third rounders where, to your point, Brent, how many times have we seen up until late last week, maybe even as late as early this week, Max Finkel is Einhorn, always there at 50. Always there at 50, right? And now it's starting to not become a thing, right? For 2.5 weeks, we've seen Monroe Freeland going at 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. And now we've seen him yesterday. We're getting him mocked. He's at 17. You know what I'm saying? There's all of these wangle-dangle maneuvers, you know what I'm saying? As a safety, 4 in the draft with 3 going in round 1, likely goes in round 2. That's kind of what I was wondering as well. And now correct me, are we getting a lot more of hybridization of DBs, safeties, and corners, and kind of tweener in between the two spots? It's boring, but I kind of hope we just stay put and draft. Tampa, I have to ask you. I understand the excitement in wanting to read ahead in the curriculum, but just because we send the itinerary home of what we're going to be going over in class today, I'm going to need you to go ahead and pump the brakes and not read the articles and know what I'm going to talk about. Achilles injuries are usually take another year. Yeah, dude, and shouldn't expect him. Well, and Snake, that's kind of why I'm just like pumping the brakes on Brian Branch. Like, I love Brian Branch. Big fan Brian Branch. Good dude. You know, went to college, beat Zelda, got the Triforce. You know what I'm saying? Stand up cat, right? I don't want to be like, okay, man, week 6, Brian Branch should be back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? Simulators are retarded. Never, ever trust them. Exactly. Well, that's just it, dude. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, I can sit here and run all these mock drafts, and in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm going to be shitting, wishing, and hoping and praying that Hulky falls. And then when he goes at pick 33, I'm going to be fucking pissed on Friday, you know? Yep, I agree, Tampa. I agree. Branch really can't play his aggressive style without Kirby having his back. And, you know, actually, dude, that was proven almost point perfectly last year. We ask our defensive backs to play out there on an island in man coverage. And the reason that we do that is we have the luxury of Kirby Joseph, who was on par with Ed Reed for interceptions since entering the league. No one had more takeaways since Kirby Joseph since he came into the league. He was a dominant force and an absolute X factor. Not only did he flip the field for the defense, but gave our offense significantly more opportunities to pile up stats, to pile up yards, to pile up numbers. You know what I'm saying? Kirby Joseph, I cannot see an avenue or a road of an argument to disprove the point that Kirby Joseph was one of, if not the most important linchpin to our, quote, failure last season. Does that make sense? What's up, Gab? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Kirby is like a hockey player that cherry picks for ITs. Bro, exactly. He's just back there lurking, dude. And he's got the wheels. He's got the wheels to cover. Which, actually, that's what I wanted to talk about yesterday. So I do think that a lot of Kirby Joseph's ability to exploit the offensive scheme is that he played wide receiver in college for so long. Not only does he have more fluidity in his hips than I think most defensive backs do due to playing wide receiver, but he also understands a little bit more intricacies of movements, picks up on subtle tells, understands more of the very small adjustments offenses are making, gives him maybe a little bit of an edge. To that, I do think you can apply that same mentality to Jacob Rodriguez because he played quarterback in college for greater than most people do. You know what I mean? I do think he has a little bit more of an understanding. Now, again, his physicalities, the skill set, the size kind of can lend himself to maybe having a little bit more of a retarded growth. I'm not encouraging us to take him at 17. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to plan on a return dates for injured players. Exactly, Mom. Exactly. Hell yeah. Are you talking the Ohio State University, Rick? You all right there, bud? Hopefully you're all right, dude. You know what I'm saying? But I like, as much as I love Brian Branch, I just don't want to be in the headspace of like, okay, if we just hold our breath and at week 9, Brian Branch is going to come back and he's going to be better than ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to be patient with him. You know what I mean? Great point. Have 100% agree. Safeties who used to play wide receiver have a better idea of how this offense runs and try to trick them. Yeah, dude. I do think that especially at the safety spot, because the way we deploy, at least Kirby Joseph, isn't so much of a man-on-man coverage. He's for real just lurking. Just go play center field, bro. Just go back and trust your gut and use your fluid hips and long gazelle-like strides to just glide across the field. Jump up and use your hands, because what is the biggest thing? What do we say? Every time a DB drops an INT, we're like, that's why you play DB and not wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? But Kirby Joseph, you know what I'm saying? I mocked Brian Branch to us a pick 6 overall right after the season ended. Getting him at pick 45 was insane. Yeah, dude, that was one of the most, like, I don't want to say interesting falls because it was clearly overshadowed by Shedeur Sanders in following drafts, but it was interesting. And to be honest, Brent, I didn't do enough research on Brian Branch at the time to understand, nor did I think we were ever going to get him in the second round. I don't understand why did Brian Branch slide? Why did he drop out of the first round? Like, what was it about him that slid? What/if narrative around Brian Branch can we then pick up on other images or narratives that have been projected on other Alabama products? Can we then dig into it and say, hey, this is just kind of how it comes out of Alabama? And then we can look at Brian Branch and just pull all of that off and say, okay, so that's clearly smoke. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Am I making sense? BB dropped because he was slow and small. Okay, I mean, I guess, but and you know, okay, yeah, he's not 6'3". I guess, but and I don't know, man. I guess he's proven the haters wrong. You know what I mean? Stopping the run is different to making the playoffs or not. That's true, Gab. That is true. And we couldn't stop the run. That is true, dude. Do we think there's any chance Bain will be in the second round in light of recent discoveries? All right, so Tampa. We are actually going to learn about that here later at the end of the show. I have a video here from Flemlo Raps. I know nothing about the Brian Branch situation. I don't know anything about it. I literally seen this and was like, cool, we'll watch it together. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, let's quickly run through this mock draft here that dipshit Magoo has pulled up for us. You know all the names. Mendoza 1, Reese 2. Then he's got the Cowboys. Actually trading with the Arizona Cardinals and coming all the way up to grab David Bailey. That would be I do wonder what would it would take. That's a huge climb, and that's a lot of investment in a guy that it could be Will Anderson Jr. esque, but I don't know. Then you see the fallout. So if that were to happen, it's going to have just a massive ripple effect, right? Sonny Styles then goes 4 to the Titans. Love then goes to the Giants after the brickhead there. What's his name? The running back there couldn't stay healthy. So they're going to go ahead and just grab themselves the best running back in the draft and all-down running back. I actually like it a lot. I think that's exactly what a guy like a Jackson Fart and Dart absolutely needs to ascend. Not only then you have a potential franchise quarterback in Jackson Fart and Dart. I do believe in Jackson Fart and Dart. You then you pair him with an all-world young and emerging wide receiver, a first-round pick running back. The weapons on offense are everywhere around us, all right, there at every break of the game, every minute, every second. And then John Harbaugh with a good defense. Yeah, I think now if they do lose Dexter Lawrence, we'll see. The Chefs then trade up with the Cleveland Brown Eyes to grab the guy we were just talking about, Reuben Bain Jr. We will look and discuss. Let me know down in the chat if you guys know anything about him, but Downs then to the Redskins, Delane to the Saints, Tate to the Brown Eyes at 9, McCoy, Lemon, Mayauga then slides all the way to 12. How weird is that, huh? You see what I mean about how just a little bit of changing. So when the Cowboys would theoretically shoot all the way up here to 3 and grab Bailey, this is where we started to see Mayauga kind of get picked up, sometimes even a Fano kind of get grabbed off the board here. And then in the following picks, we would see, around the 5-6 range, we've seen a couple of times where it was Monroe Freeling kind of going to the Brown Eyes. Well, the Brown Eyes then opted to bail with the Chiefs because the Chiefs said, hey, we're going to go grab Bain. We don't like the way all these defensive players are flying off the board. We're going to go grab Bain, and then you see how it shakes down. The Browns then slide all the way to 9, and they're just fading. They're fading offensive linemen. They're going to go grab a wide receiver. Okay, that's fair. But then obviously Mayauga at 12 is going to shake things up a little bit. It's going to slide that offensive tackle board. KC Conception, I just want to say this is pretty funny to me. They have him going to the Rams, throwing a curveball in receiving order with Conception as the third pass catcher on the board. The biggest knock on his game is the drops. Didn't I just say that the biggest difference between wide receivers and defensive backs are the ability to catch the ball? So what I'm reading here is that if you have a wide receiver who the biggest concern is him catching the ball, sounds like you have a defensive back. Okay, let's go. The Ravens are going to grab Fano at 14. And what do we know about Fano is that's a no-go zone because his arms, they're that of a gnome. Let's go. Vega's going to go at 15. Jordan Tyson then goes to Gang Green over in New York. Still no one to throw him the ball, though. All right, good luck to you. Hopefully he can throw the ball to himself. And then, hey, shout out Tampa. Did you read this earlier? The Lions going to go and grab Block A. Miller. I know. It's It's not sexy. It's not sleek. It's not fancy. It's not Proctor. It's not Freeling. It's not the big project players. In this future we've created, Lions fans can't believe their luck. Enticing options abound at offensive tackle and edge, the two most dire needs in Detroit, which is why the announcement of Blake Miller's name raises some eyebrows. It's not a sexy pick. Other guys remaining on my hypothetical board have higher theoretical upside. But in the real world, the Lions need immediate help at tackle following the release of Titty Decker. No time for a project, and Miller oozes experience, having started every Clemson football game, all 54 of them, over the past 4 seasons. Damn. I did not know that. I did not know Balake Miller had started every college game in his collegiate career at Clemson. Is that... Am I overvaluing that considering how much value we put in to the inexperience of Max Finkel as Einhorn or a Monroe Freeling, you know? I'm starting to think Balake Miller here might not be this, like, yeah, dude, you might want some type of real fancy dessert, or you could just go with Old Faithful, dude. Just a twist cone. You know what I'm saying? Just be ready to rock and roll. Always there. 54 starts in college, dude. I mean, I don't know, it's not sexy, dude. But what do we think, dude? The team owners know about that shit long before they make the news happen. They've definitely been aware of the Bain situation. Yeah, I imagine so. Thank you, Mr. Detroit City. I appreciate it, bro. It's good to see you, man. Hopefully you're having a good morning. I'm at work now. Got to run. All right, Derek, have a good morning, dude. I appreciate you stopping by, dude. Hanging out there on the left coast, dude. 12th pick to 3rd will be costly, but Jerry would do it. Jerry can eat a bag of dicks. His eyes are too far apart. My eyes aren't too far apart. Seems teams knew about Bain's car. Yeah, we're getting there, dude. I'm guessing it's not good then, huh? I really don't think we go offense tackle this year. We picked up 3 free agents. Yeah, dude, that's kind of the other thing I'm thinking is that, like, just expect Brad Holmes to do something we're not expecting. Yo, Blizz. All right, man. So you're in that camp too that you see Frazier going from guard to tackle. I've been saying that, dude. I've been saying that, bro. The best ability is availability. See, so Tampa, you kind of like you're kind of in that Balake Miller thing, huh? Has started every game since 1985. Hell yeah, dude. That's so. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty enticing, man. What do we know, dude? Is Blake like I want to do a deep dive, but we ain't got time right now, dude. Maybe we'll look up Balake Miller tomorrow, dude. I know I already did a video about him, but we had some tech issues over on Rumble that day. The Lions urged to make the 17th pick trade during draft for 4 contract reasons. And why is that? What could it be? Get out of here. Get out of here, ad. Nobody likes you, ad. You smell bad. Ad, you stink. Come on, lag. Lagging an ad. Lagging in ads. Here we go. After missing the playoff. Oh, my gosh. After missing the playoffs, the Lions are slated to make the 17th overall pick in the draft. They could go a different route, though. One that involves a trade down. Ooh, yes, that's what I absolutely like to see. Specifically, ESPN's Bill Barnwell thinks the Lions should trade down from the number 17 to accumulate more draft capital. The main reason? Expensive contracts are about to hit the Detroit books. That's what we've been talking about, guys. We've been talking about this offseason. A quartet is eligible for extensions: Gibbs, Laporta, Campbell, and Branch. While it's not a guarantee the Lions will pay all of them, there certainly could and will increase in salaries comes a need for more cheap young talent to supplement them. The 17th pick could land such a player, but the Lions could turn number 17 into 2 or 3 picks a bit later in the draft. Maybe that's the best use of its resources. Quote, it would be surprising if the Lions traded out of the first round and did something drastic, and given their needs at offensive tackle and edge rusher, they probably don't want to drop too far to ensure having a shot at a player who can step in as a starter in 2026. I don't think that's position specific. But dropping down a few spots and getting a 3rd-round pick back would be the ideal scenario for Holmes. It's not always easy to find a trade partner. There usually needs to be someone on draft night who slides just a bit and entices the team to move up to get him. The Lions should be motivated to find one, though even if it's just to drop 5, 10 picks down the board, any little extra draft resource will help Detroit down the road to fill the roster around its big money players. I just kind of realized, you guys, is Philly not the perfect dancing partner, especially if wide receivers slide? If wide receivers start to slide, wouldn't Philly be about the perfect dancing partner for us? We did it yesterday. Move back to like 23, dude. Get a third rounder, like the 86. Bro, that's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm absolutely saying. So, do you like the idea of moving back, opening up a little bit of money room, dude? Adds us a little bit of a wiggle. Well, just a little bit of more wiggle room. Let's go ahead and pause. This is lagging us down. I don't know. Nobody likes you guys over here at Yahoo with your incredibly vague articles. And Frazier can swing. Watch Brad draft Sadiq in the first round for 13 personnel. Brent, dude, y'all for real are going to be talking about Detroit drafting fucking Kenyon Sadiq, dude, and it's going to end up happening, and I'm going to be pissed, man. I'm going to be so pissed, bro. I don't know if you're reading my other comment, but I'm really leaning to Brad and trading up to get Styles or Reese. Yeah, dude, dude, I think I did see that. Raw, I'm sorry, man. My bad, dude. I think I did see that. That's what led me to start thinking about the Styles thing and how I kind of got off Styles, because you guys have kind of turned me on to so that comment led me to thinking about Styles, led me to thinking about like picking up that third round pick and kind of glazing AJ Halkey a little bit. That's where that came into. Yep, I do appreciate that. The Cowboys fumbled Parsons where he could be developed into a pass rush and pass coverage. Reese fits that mold perfectly well. So Reese is that kind of who he comps to is Micah Parsons. You see, because like, dude, these high end, these top 10 guys outside of like Styles really, and then obviously I do think the offensive tackles have a bit of variance, but the David Baileys, the Bain Juniors, even up until now, your Reese's, I just didn't. I don't see us having the capital to slide up and grab them. Miller sucked for 3 years. That's right. That's what you said. He had a 1 year pop off. That's what it was. All right, now Brent, I remember you saying that. Yep, high floor, low ceiling. That's right. Yep. Okay, now I remember us talking about him now because you were like, yeah, he had 1 good year. Yep, right on. Now I remember, dude. Appreciate that. No, I think Styles or Reese's are worth 2 firsts and a second. Yeah, that's the thing, dude, is you'd have to like really give up a lot to get him. Instead of trading back, but the draft seems to be falling in a way that works for us, just staying put. Hypothetically, Gav, yes. Look, I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. Are you getting the vibe that this is actually going to be a really fun draft to watch? Like, I'm really excited to just sit back, have a couple brews, chill out with hat and boobs, and just watch the draft unfold. I think we have done quite a bit of wheeling and dealing and like experimenting, and we'll do more mock drafts. Obviously, next week, we'll probably do a mock draft every single show. I'm going to be honest with you guys, right? At least the first couple rounds. That I think we have found enough players at the positions that we quote-unquote feel we need to look at, as well as a couple other flyers, right? Your Red Murdochs, your corners, Prysock, right? Even a Jeremiah Trotter, right? We talk about some of these guys that we can kind of get a little bit of a vibe, a little bit of a feel, you know what I'm saying? That it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of shakes out and kind of start to pick up on what avenues to expect and hope and shit in one hand and wish in the other. You know what I'm saying? I'm more nervous at this draft than I've been in recent years. Tampa, can I ask, is it that you're nervous? Because I get that sentiment. I can't say that I understand where you're coming from. I'm nervous about this draft, but is that because we really feel that if we overemphasized, okay, if we just get this position, then it's the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? And are you nervous because you're worried that position, even if it is available, you could see Brad Holmes, even if we're sitting there going, all right, there is this defensive end that I'm absolutely sold on at 17, and you've convinced yourself, you've watched him slide from 10 to 17, and then we get to 17 and Brad Holmes takes some not that guy. You know what I mean? Is that kind of what it is? I'm more, let Lions fans a week and a half away from the draft, not even know we feeling what we want nor who we want. You know, John, that's fair, dude. That's fair, bro. Because I'm trying to be kind of like, look, dude. I'm gonna be look, guys. I try to be very Tim Poolian with y'all and like your takes and stuff. But I'm a Keldrick Falk guy. I'm Keldrick Falk at 17, and I have been. From early on in the draft process, I think from the start of the end of last season, I was on Keldrick Falk. I was like, that number 15 dude from Auburn is pretty solid, right? I've been on him. The more we've looked into him, I like the character profile. I like the leadership. I like how he's quiet, seems pretty humble. I think he fits the build. I really think that that if we either like the two best options at 17 is, for me, I think defensive end is the route to go. I really do. I think that our offensive line has the players in-house. If you look at the moves that Brad Holmes has made to acquire talent, be it through free agency or Juice Scruggs through trade, you know what I mean? We have filled out our offensive line room with available talent, right? Plenty of players. We can grab a guy in the second round, hypothetically. Someone should possibly be there, I would like to think. I do think that at 17, if we're staying put, we go defensive end. And I think that we either go Keldrick Falk or... I think Mesdor, hurt foot guy. That's a Brad Holmes move, and I think that's the route we go. Top of this class isn't even that good. Not worth trading shit for a little loan our entire future. Yeah, Brent, that's kind of, I think you and Raw were kind of saying about how this draft, or was it Jack yesterday saying about how it's like kind of next year's class. Like this is just kind of a not so great class. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of excitement around this draft as a good thing. Right on, dude. Hell yeah, Rick. As Brad Holmes 100% trolling the fan base, he's concerned about his ego and doesn't want to listen to fans. I think she's the smartest motherfucker ever to be born in football. You know, I like I get where you're coming from, and fans should have like a voice, but you know, there is a reason why Brad Holmes is the GM of an NFL team, and we're fans. You know, I want 23 draft. Pisses everyone off, but yields us several awesome players no one expected. Hell yeah. Right on, Raw. Appreciate it. That's what's up, dude. Thank you so much for the super chat, dude. Has been so successful building this roster. The injuries have been our Achilles heel. I think we walk away with 4 or 5 players out of this class. I'd love that, dude. I'd love that, bro. I'd love that. We'll never draft another defensive end in the first round until Aiden Hutchinson is declining. You think, John? I'm not like, that's stupid. I'm just like can I ask why? And the reason I ask is it because of like do you think it's an ego or like a respect thing to Hutch? You know what I'm saying? I like Crawford, the other DN from Auburn. He is violent, plays like Brad and Dan want. Right on. See, and I don't know anything about him, dude. I've been so focused on Falk, dude. I think he is a great stopping defensive end, possibly even edge rusher, but Brad will not get an edge in the first round. He's obsessed with finding Tom Brady in the 6th. I mean, we do have my guy, the Hammer. We got the Hammer, Ahmed Hassanin, the Egyptian magician. Shout out Raw, dude. I really appreciate the super chat, dude. Thank you so much, man. That's awesome of you, dude. I'm nervous Brad actually thinks we are good on O-line and edge rusher, or he's just playing the guess game so that other teams don't snag our guy. Art, yeah, man. I do think which one of you was it? I think it was Tampa saying that he thinks Brad is trolling everybody. I think Brad is just fucking with people, man. I really do. Art, I honestly, man, I don't think we're bad at offensive line or edge rusher. I mean, you know, what's up, Motown? How you doing, man? Good to see you, brother. Hope you're having a good morning, dude. So worried about fulfilling his ego to stick his middle finger in the face of fans is banking on finding Tom Brady. I mean, I get that. Profile. Well, yo, Motown, I was for real. I was like, what the fuck, dude? They're, like, both you guys have the same profile pic. It threw me for a loop there, man. Occurs to me that all these great edge rushers, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Hutch, are on the teams that didn't make the playoffs. Yeah, that is kind of an interesting thing. Though we have seen, based on the numbers, that playoff teams historically aren't the top pass rush teams. They're the top run defense teams. Stopping the run is the number one indicator of a playoff defense, not pass rush, not sacks. Ahmed is going to crush souls this year. I hope so, dude. I hope so. I'd like it if he switched to linebacker or fullback, dude. Speaking of players, linebackers, fullbacks, whatever, action Jack Campbell. Well, the man is due to get paid. And the Lions have a decision to make. What are you going to do? You got to pay. You got fifth-year options on Jack and Jameer, right? The pre-draft presser, Brad Holmes, asked about about the possibility of offering both Gibbs and Jack Campbell their 5th years. Holmes says the Lions have not made those moves yet, but they've had discussions with both players about them. If the Lions do indeed give action Jack Campbell his 5th year option, they're making a mistake. So this is coming to us from A to Z Sports. This is, of course, the Slipper, Mike Payton. Jack Campbell, making the Pro Bowl, made his 5th-year option insanely large, and the Lions would be better off avoiding it. If Campbell hadn't made the Pro Bowl, I would say that he's absolutely someone whose 5th-year option should be picked up. But because he did, his 5th-year option increased from $16 million to almost $21 million. That is all completely guaranteed in 2027, and it all hits the cap. The Lions cannot restructure it or maneuver it around without the players' consent. They're most likely stuck with it unless a new agreement is reached. The Lions' best move is to avoid that option. Just don't give it to him. Move him to the front of the line on extensions and sign him to a big one where you can get some guaranteed money attached to it and make it up to him there. Campbell is expected to sign a market-setting deal, and he'd be either the highest-paid linebacker in the NFL or one of the highest-paid linebackers in the NFL. The deal could be something like a 4-year extension worth $96 million with something like $70 million guaranteed and a $24 million annual average value. And I am such a poor. That would make Campbell the highest-paid linebacker in the league. I am a poor. This dude shits during a game and makes more money than I do during the year. Not picking up that 5th-year option makes his contract look like this. So in 27, he would so this is how it would shake out, right? $17 million next year. Jesus Christ. $17 million next year. $21 million in 28, 27 in 29, $31 million in 2030, and 2031 would be a void year of $8 million. $17 million of that is a lot for a 5th year in 2017 or 2027, but it's not fully guaranteed $22 million. The Lions could, if they wanted to, try to adjust that. They would likely wait a year and maybe do a restructure in 2028 or 2029 instead, with the 5th year option looking like this. You'd have 21 next year. Jesus, what is going on? Why do I keep flying all over the damn board, dude? $21 million in 27, only $18 million in 2028, so that'd give us a little bit more wiggle room. 24 and 29, 28 and 30. 30 and 31, and then 32 would be our void year of $8 million. That's going to make life a little bit harder for the Lions in 2027, but at least they'd have a little drop in 2028 before it goes back up in 2029. It's so much cleaner if the Lions do it without the option. The long and short is you can save a few $1 million a year if you just pay the man, give him his extension now as opposed to later. How do you feel about that, guys? Are we all on board that we're re-signing Jack Campbell? Are we all in the re-signing Jack Campbell boat? Oh, man, you guys are really going at it. Nothing to do with respecting Aiden. It has to do with he doesn't want to have to pay the money. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. All right. I see where you're at, John. Okay. Yeah. I was just curious. Like, I didn't know if it was like something to do like specifically with like Aiden Hutchinson, like ego or something. I was just curious. Yeah, that makes sense, dude. Yeah, it's a money thing, dude. Yeah. No, that makes sense. You can't have two premiers at like multiple positions: running backs, wide receivers, defensive ends. That makes sense. Trade up for Styles or Reese. Grab Hulky. Get Masses, Gentry, Delp. I think this is our class. Pin this. You think, Raw? Oh, man, I'll pin that. That is... Look, dude, I'll give you this. That is like a pipe dream. Oh, we'd crush that. That'd be an absolute crusher of a draft, dude. Brad, with Edge, we haven't drafted a top 100 Edge in 3 years since Pascal. Everything with him is good enough. We'll be fine. Yeah, I'll give you that, dude. And Pascal was a bum, dude. And you know, we screw up and he's out the door. Guess we're all going to be trolling him. That's true, dude. You know, John, that's true. That's the other thing. Is if Brad Holmes is bad at his job and he ends up being shown the door, at least we don't lose our job. You know, we can all sit here and laugh at him. You know, Edge is not the question or answer. You don't think? You're in the but don't you want us to go and grab Styles or Reese, dude? I mean, I know Styles is in defensive end. What's up, Kane? How you doing, man? How you doing, bro? You having a good morning, dude? Yo, you guys got to go follow Kane the Crusader over on Twitter, dude. My guy. And also, Kane, shout out, dude. So if I got time tonight, I'll be on Twitter a little bit more, dude. I don't know how work's gonna shake out tonight, dude. Yo, so like, what's your take on that dude, that link you sent me of that video guy, that redneck guy? I kind of liked what he said, and also, what's your take on Taco Talks, man? Do you like kind of like what he says and like some of the shit these guys say? I find it pretty interesting, man. You know what I mean? And no shade, like no shade if you're like, fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Like I've been kind of excited to see you. Hope you're having a good morning, dude. I'm not into paying our guys early. I know you can save a few bucks, but can also get hurt. You know, Tampa, and that's true, bro. That's true. Because we're looking at a few $1 million, you know. If we're talking $20-30 million per year, yeah, you know what I mean? We're talking, you know, I feel you. He signed all his DBs in hopes that we can get the next Legion of Boom in the backfield. Yeah, but we had the Legion of Whom? That's not going to happen. I would love Brad Holmes to go all in on Sonny Styles, linebacker. There's the other super stud for Hutch to get sacks. I feel you, dude. And I'm pretty high on Sonny Styles. Can I ask, John, when you say Folk's not going to happen, do you mean like he's just not going to be there? Or like that's just like I guess I mean, to go get Styles, we're gonna have to go get Styles, right? I think there is a greater chance of Folk being there at 17 than us going and getting Styles. If you're staring down the barrel of a Keldrick Folk or Balake Miller or Jacob Rodriguez, I don't know, at 17, like who would you take? Like who gives you the more impact now to win now? You know what I'm saying? Won't trade up for Sonny Styles because we're good enough. We already have Campbell. We don't need another stud linebacker. We have Rodrigo and Barnes. That's good enough. Yeah, and I honestly, John, like I like the Sonny Styles acquisition in the idea of him being the hybrid linebacker and an evolution out of base defense because of his pedigree of playing defensive back before transitioning to linebacker. Brad doesn't want to upset us for going all in too often. You don't want him going all in on these young guys? Brad Holmes started his career as Detroit as a Hall of Fame pace. Anyone who doesn't think he's good is a libtard cuck with a micro penis. Shout out. Shout out Brent Supreme, dude. Honestly, title game a year after we won 15 games, you're a fourth place schedule. We have players that are getting better. I think we'll be fine, dude. Injuries are always a possibility no matter what the style of the player. Letting the possibility of injuries make your decisions is bad practice. That's true. That's true, man. You know, we didn't know that Kirby's knee was going to be fucked up. People want to trade 2 firsts and a second for an off-ball linebacker so these people are on drugs and not understand the sport. You know, honestly, Brent, like, everybody's very high on Sonny Styles, but is there not a really good possibility that Sonny Styles, like, just kind of slides? In that people like when they really look at him, they go, "What the fuck do we do with this guy?" You know what I'm saying? Like you say, he's an off-ball linebacker, you know, more of a DB. You know, unless you're really into hybridizing your defense, you know, I guess like he becomes more of a luxury than a building block. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment? That Sonny Styles is a wildly talented player who could potentially be more of a luxury than a franchise building block? And if you view it through that lens, does that not let him slide out of the top 10? Am I wrong in that? I think Styles is trash compared to Anthony Hill Jr. Look at the stats. Yeah, Gav. I was trying to remember which one of you guys was like. I was trying to remember which one of you guys was on Anthony Hill Jr. and I believe it's you've been talking about Anthony Hill Jr. for quite a while, and he's always there in the second round, dude. He's always there in the second round, dude. So let's not win a Super Bowl so Brad's comfortable. I mean, I think he's just pointing out that Brad Holmes is a butthole. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So Jack Campbell, money. Let's look at Ruben Bates. So guys, Can you give me some context to what the hell? So, obviously, Reuben Bain Jr., driver in 2024 car accident, passenger died. So, he was driving a car and somebody died. Is this Jalen Carter? Is this just another Jalen Carter thing? I do like CJ Allen as well. I know you do, Raw, but isn't he basically just Jack Campbell? You know? Or can he play edge at all? And if so, are you willing to go first round on a Jack Campbell edge that they can play edge? Styles a top 5 player in this draft. Sure. Is he worth trading up for? No. Yeah. Okay, Brent. So that's I think that's kind of what you and I are saying. Is that like he is a otherworldly talent, but like, can you build your franchise around him? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he a foundationary piece, or is he just like an absolute luxury player? Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, Brent. So that's what I was trying to figure out is like, is CJ Allen, can he play defensive end? Because I thought it was like he's basically just Jack Campbell, dude. EJ didn't bury the story like Miami did. Gotcha. Thank you, Tampa. I was trying to figure out what's going on. So Miami's been covering this up. So Miami's just doing typical Miami dirty shit. What caused the accident? I don't know, man. We're about to find out, guys. So shout out my guy Flemlo Raps over here on YouTube. Big fan. Let's check it out.
Last night, this crazy Reuben Bain story dropped on Twitter. If you don't know who Reuben Bain is, he's projected to be a top 10 draft pick, Miami edge rusher. Dude wreaked havoc all season and for the entire playoff as well. He's currently projected as a top 10 draft pick, but some people believe that could soon change based on the report that dropped last night. But with that said, others believe it might just be much ado about nothing. I've seen some pretty strong opinions on both sides of that, so I wanted to get a clear understanding of what's going on here. Somebody pumping an old story trying to tank the kid's draft stock, or is it real earnest reporting from a journalist who did his due diligence?
What is it, guys? Is this legit or not? When I say Folk is not going to happen, I mean Brad will step over. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. That's what I was asking is like, John, like, are you saying it's not going to happen? Like he's not going to be there? You know what I mean? Or, so you're just saying that he's not like Brad's going to not make what is probably the right decision. They said Jack Campbell was a reach at 18. Look at that. Hell yeah. Guys, you're raw, dude. Raw. You remember, dude, Braylon Edwards fucking being so mad about Jack Campbell. And I was like, I don't get, because, I mean, look, I was never a pounding my fist, we need Jack Campbell, right? But I remember watching him in the draft process, and I'm like, whoever gets this guy's getting a baller. Whoever gets Jack Campbell is getting an absolute ball player. And then when we took him, I was just like, again, it was just like, huh. Well, he can ball. You know what I'm saying? Not even worth trading to first and center for. Never worth it. Gotcha. Well, Raw. So I think what you and Brent are trying to figure out here, and I think what we're all trying to figure out, is the cost benefit analysis of Sonny Styles. How much are you willing to go in on a luxury player when the inverse to that is option A, stay put, or option B, which I think is what a lot of people would prefer, and that is to trade back, 5 spots, get another third rounder, maybe even a fifth rounder. So like, what would you be willing to go? How much would you be willing to trade up for a guy like a Sonny Styles? Because I got this feeling that we'll see him slide to 9, 10-ish. because of the, like we're saying, not a foundationary piece, but a luxury player. That's not a slight against him. I use the same terminology with JMO. JMO, although, and Raw, you're the one who talks about the JMO effect, and I do agree with you. JMO is still an absolute luxury of a player because he's not a foundationary piece in that, Amon-Ra is still the one. You know what I mean? So if you were to come down to getting an offensive tackle that you could plug and play on the offensive line, or a Vega who could plug and play on the offensive line, or a defensive end, or a Styles, stay put, gamble, move ahead, how much? Like, what are you willing to give up? You know what I mean? Because it is going to cost a lot to get up that high. You know what I mean? Fuck bandwagon Bray, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. 49ers even survived with 2 stud linebackers. That's true, dude. That's true. I'm not disputing that. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to figure out how, like what would you be willing to give up? You know what I mean? I love me some Anthony Hill Jr. as well, Rodrigo Barnes. He wants to win that third string guys. Yeah, that's true, dude. That's true. That'll be it. Will history is not 2 firsts and a second. That's my point. The position is valuable enough to sell the future for. That is the first round D end offensive tackle. That's kind of where I'm at with Brent, is like, and you guys know me, I was fascinated, and I still am fascinated. Full disclosure, the franchise I'm running in Madden right now, Sonny Styles, is my off-ball linebacker, because I picked him up in free agency. But I could not give up 2 first round picks for him. I can't because I don't give up 2 first round picks. I will never see a world where it's like I just can't. I can't. It's too rich. It's 2 first round picks is too rich for me. You know what I'm saying? If Rodrigo's starting for us at linebacker, I hope it's because we drafted Jacob and not plugged in Malcolm. Hell yeah, Tampa. And not for nothing, you guys have turned me on to Jacob Rodriguez. The little mini dive we did on him yesterday, I am fascinated with Jacob Rodriguez. I am really hoping that we go Jacob Rodriguez at 50. Get that solid, off-ball linebacker, all the accolades, offensive pedigree in college, underrated chip on his shoulder, could possibly be Amon-Ra St. Brown's mentality on defense, Brad Holmes rather not win a Super Bowl, more talent because he wants to win with a bunch of third-string guys. That's true. He wants the story, the narrative. So back to what we're talking about here, Ruben Bain. Do we know anything about it? Is this because he doesn't want to go in the top 10, or is this real? Is this an actual story? So let's see.
Now, given the timing, there's been comparisons to the Laramie Tunsil incident, but there's a couple key differences I'll point out a little later. People have been sending me a lot of confusing information about this story, but what's true, what's false, what's assumed, what's exaggerated? The draft process hasn't really been kind to Ruben Baines.
Why does he look like damn near 40 years old? I ain't trying to be a dick, but Ruben Bain kind of looks like he, he's got 2 ex-wives and a couple mortgages.
For this, he was getting dragged because he's got short arms. But him knowing what else was kind of lurking in the background, for a while he was probably glad that's all people was talking about. Late Sunday night, a report dropped about a car crash Baines was involved in 2024. The crash actually left a young woman in a coma. She never recovered and ended up passing away.
Damn. Well, that's sad.
According to reports, Baines was driving at 4 a.m. on I-95 in March 2024. There was a total of 4 people in the car.
Son, you are a player at a Division I college, the University of Miami. You ain't just some bullshit talent. Son, you ain't at some bullshit college. What the fuck were you out doing at 4 in the morning? Ain't nothing good. Ain't nothing good. Especially considering you're supposed to be a world-class athlete. Well, you should be getting your recovery and sleep. Well, you should be waking up in a couple hours to go grab your first workout of the day. Son, what were you doing at 4 in the morning out driving around on the highway?
car. It was Baines' 2 teammates and 1 female. And yeah, Ruben Baines was the one driving. He ends up rear-ending another vehicle, lost control of the car, and hit barriers on both sides of the road. The report also states that his estimated speed was only 55 miles per hour and that his sobriety level was apparently normal. Despite that, the diagram of the accident
So he couldn't reach the wheel. His arms were too short.
shows he lost control pretty bad, especially for
Because his arms were too short. He couldn't spin the wheel.
someone who wasn't intoxicated and driving at such a controlled speed. They also didn't administer a field sobriety test. So
You ever seen a fucking midget try and drive a semi? Well, there you go.
I'd have to say it's fair if you have a healthy level of skepticism. I'm not saying it's impossible for this to happen at 55 miles per hour with no alcohol in your system. Of course it's possible, but when you start to stack it with the other facts of the case, it just seems unlikely. What other facts am I talking about? Okay, it's 4 a.m. in the morning in Miami during spring break. Now that's not enough evidence to convict somebody or to make up your mind that this absolutely happened, but it is enough for me to just be skeptical if I'm fairly considering all the evidence that's available. Now it's also possible that while he was out late, he wasn't actually breaking any law. It's possible that the report is 100% accurate. He was going 55 and he wasn't intoxicated. It was 4 in the morning, bro. He could have been sleepy. He could have lost control due to that. That's totally possible, and I think a solid explanation. So I'm not gonna hold a concrete opinion either way when it comes to that, unless more evidence presents itself and then ends up swaying me to one side or the other. But I just wanted to present kind of both sides of my thinking. But let me know in the comments, which side do y'all fall on? Now the female passenger was Destiny Betts, and I'd initially decided to not include her actual name because of the quote where her family had requested privacy. So initially I did the video without saying her name, knowing that it's mentioned throughout the original article, and because it's the original article, I'm gonna have to link to that. So it got to the point where my gesture of not including her name as a sign of respect started to feel more like disrespect, and I spent a good amount of time wrestling with this. But ultimately I decided that since her name is already out there, nothing that I do is going to slow down the spread of that. I may as well properly show her respect. So I wanted to say her name and show her picture, and at the end of the day, I think that's the right decision. She was visiting from Georgia down there specifically because of spring break, and unfortunately for her, she ended up suffering the worst fate out of everybody that was involved in the crash. She actually went into a coma and passed away 3 months later, bro. She never recovered. But I just want to say rest in peace to her, and I'm really sorry about what happened to her. Bain got cited for careless driving, but the charges ended up getting dropped. They actually got dropped a couple of weeks before the young lady in the car passed away. If I were going strictly off the police report, the fact that the charges were dropped and the fact that the family even wished him well, I'd come out feeling like this thing was just one ugly, tragic situation where he wasn't breaking any laws and just happened to get in a car accident, the same way thousands of people do every day. And then tragically, one of the people in the car happened to pass away. And to be honest, that's really where I want to just stop. But I also have to consider the fact and report the fact that a year later, he was involved in another car wreck, and he was cited for another careless driving citation. And that charge was also dropped for the exact same reason as the first one. So I'm not saying any.
Yo, for real, is his arms too short to drive? Do we need to have actual like wingspan to drive a fucking car, dude? Are you fucking kidding me, man?
Thing definitively, but I'd have to pretend I was blind and dumb to not at least acknowledge the possibility that there's been some cover-up stuff going on. Again, I'm not saying that it has, but just looking at the situation, I have to acknowledge that's a possibility, and you can and should form your own opinion. Dude will be in the spotlight, so we'll get to see his character over, a longer period of time, which may inform how we look back and see this situation. Now, the guy who broke the story has been attacked and accused by some of trying to tank the kid's draft stock, and I can't say for sure what the man's motives are, but the evidence doesn't line up with that accusation. According to Albert Breer, NFL teams have known about this for a really long time. Plus, the Lions GM just came out recently and once again affirmed the fact the teams been knew about this. Pre-draft background checks are super extensive.
Y'all said it. The fucking GMs knew about this, and he straight up, Brad Holmes says, we've known about this.
And there's lawsuits and police reports that's tied to the incident. So it checks out that this would have been on the NFL's radar long ago. To think that NFL teams weren't aware of a standing police report that pretty much anybody can go and pull up honestly seems kind of foolish. There's also reports about NFL teams interrogating Baines about the situation, just once again confirming that yes, they have known. The reason I go so far in just pointing that out is I was trying to establish the reporter's motives. Once the dude was accused of trying to tank the kid's draft stock, I wanted to know a little bit more information before even diving into the report. But if NFL teams were already aware, dropping an article reporting information that they already had doesn't make sense as a tactic to lower draft stock. Now, I'm always willing to say there could be something I'm missing here, but based on that basic information, I would have to give the reporter the benefit of the doubt. So anyway, moving on. I also wanted to go through that because some people are comparing this story to Laramie Tunsil. I think we all remember this random image popping up on our TVs during that particular draft. Now, Laramie Tunsil was never arrested or officially cited for marijuana use. And still, when the NFL did their background check, they still heard rumors about his smoking habit. And while they may not have loved it, dude was so good they was gonna push it to the side. The Ravens are on record saying they were gonna take dude 6th overall if he fell to them. Some people thought he was the best player in the draft. But the real issue was when the video dropped. That's what really scared teams off. First off, there's the shock of this image just on your TV. And then the secondary thought is understanding the source of the picture.
Yo, what's up, American Boxer? How you doing, man? Good to see you, brother.
They didn't know
what's up, man?
Blackmailer had in the chamber. I think it was this. It's been a while since I refreshed myself on this story, but those were the circumstances that dropped his draft stock. Now with the NFL, it's always that visual evidence. The same thing happened in the Ray Rice incident. The NFL changed the suspension after the tape came out. They'd already had the report and interviewed Ray, but once the footage came out, it changed everything. So with Baines' situation, unless there's a photo or some video somewhere that gets dropped before the draft, or worse, even during the draft, this most likely won't really affect his draft stock. But there's at least one team, which means there's probably a few teams, who may have already taken dude off their board specifically for that Laramie Tunsil reason. As one team has said, they don't think Baines has been 100% transparent with them, and they're worried that they might draft the dude, then more information comes out a little later that could then affect his ability to get on the field or put an extra mark on his character that ends up casting doubt on his behavior in the future. So if, and that's if, Baines drops in the draft, it would be because teams had already taken dude off the board. Because like I said, this report wasn't a bombshell for the NFL. It was more a bombshell for us, the public. But there does feel like it might be more to this story. But based on what's been reported, that's all we got as of now. But anyway,
yo, Reffy, I thought the same thing, dog. I was like, oh no, OF doesn't have another model.
Once again, click the link on the screen and check that one out.
So, my analysis is that Ruben Bain can't drive. He's very dangerous behind the wheel because his arms are too short. So I made this movie poster. Death Race, starring Ruben Bain Jr. Just out of reach. Am I going to hell? Am I going to hell for that one, guys? 29th, 50th pick. Oh, you guys are all in on trade. You guys are going deep on the trades. I covered up the public knowledge. These NFL teams contact the FBI. Oh, hell yeah, Tampa. Yeah, dude, they knew about it. They knew about it. Rick, I think you said the last guy I wanted to trade up for was Willie Anderson Jr. I was right there with you, bud. I was in that same boat, dude. I was so fucking high on Willie Anderson Jr. Yo, do you guys like my movie poster I made? You think that's good? I think it's pretty good. Maybe we should add more of his body. No, add his body to the T. Should I tweak this? Stop being gay, ChatGPT. We're sorry, but that's mean. I gotta get up out of here. I should tweet this out for sure. Confidence in the defense is high. Make them do yoga during training camp to prevent injuries. Hell yeah, dude. Ruben, bro, we do need to tweak that training program, dude. We need to get our guys like healthy and strong, bro. We need to get our guys healthy and strong. Oh, come on, dude. Stop being so gay, ChatGPT. God, you're being gay. You did it for me already. Somebody's burning something outside. It's wood something or another. Well, you buttholes. They're not going to let me do it. I think we're just going to have to tweet this one out later, guys. I think that's a pretty good picture. I wish I could have I should put his name on here somewhere, starring Ruben Bain Jr., you know? 2-time fucking death race winner. I shouldn't make fun of that. I'm going to hell. All right, guys. So, hey, hell, I'll do a mock draft video on showing what we could get. We traded Sam Laporta, 2 first-rounders, traded back almost 5 top 100 players. Brett Holmes, all I'm saying is look at the 2 last Super Bowl champions in Seattle. How did they win? Through defense. That's true. That's true. That's true. You're not wrong. Defense wins championships. It's been proven forever and ever and ever. Hi-yo. All right, guys. So that's going to be it for today. I appreciate each and every one of you bother to take the time to drop a comment or share this around or hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to climb through 900 subscribers on YouTube, 50 subscribers over on Rumble. And let us not forget the 14 of you over on Kick. I do appreciate it. Guys, that's going to be it for today. Try and have a good rest of your day. Stay out of trouble and do anything I wouldn't do until tomorrow at 10 a.m. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been the attentive audience. We'll catch you then. Bonga bonga.